All right. Now are things working? I can't tell. Can you hear me now? Let's see. So much to figure out. Hello. Tactical cutlery. Is the audio working this time? Because oh my goodness, it works. Okay. Yeah. My wife is apparently watching from upstairs and does not realize that everyone can hear her too. But that's good. That's good. All right. Well, thank you for the patience, everyone, for sticking with me to figure out how this whole YouTube streamy thing works. This is live, and I have a baby, so please excuse any child stomping noises you might be hearing. Plan is to go over some of the rambles that I've done over the last year, and ramble about them. I figured these recap videos are fun, but I think sometimes it's easy to reflect on some of the stuff that I've reviewed over time. It might be helpful to go back more than a year, frankly, because opinions change as your knowledge grows, right? So, or hopefully it does. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. So, unfortunately, YouTube does not let me go back. Doesn't let me share my screen. At least I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to overlay my screen thingy yet. So I'd imagine it's something I can do on Twitch, but not something I can seemingly do here. So anyway, I'm going back to the videos I've published, and I'm gonna ramble through them, even though I can't share them on the screen, which is gonna be awkward. But I will. That is my attempt. Anyway, perfectly happy to ramble about something else. If anyone has any questions, throw them in the chat. I'm going to attempt to look at them, and I see that there are 11 people watching, which is neat for a sporadic. I've never done this before. It's 8 a.m. Ramble about swords. Anyway, all right. So, as I really think about the topic of reviewing stuff, might be helpful to do it when like a 10-year anniversary comes up, because there are totally swords that now, when I look back on reviewing them, particularly videos that are semi-popular, like the Ryujin sword. Those, in the earlier video, I said that I think that it's worth the asking price, and the asking price at the time, at least as I saw it, was like $500, and now I wouldn't say that. Not that it's a bad sword, but given what else you can get for $500, I don't know that would be my opinion anymore. But we won't go back to the way back when. We'll start from. I posted a video on January 1st, 2021, and that was the Ryan sword katana, the one for $135. And it'd be so much easier if I could share my screen. I still have the handle for that sword right here. Oh, which camera am I on? This one right here. This was the sword that I talked about in the first video of 2021. And obviously you can tell I've thought a lot about what I'm going to talk about in this video. And I can't say that really much has changed. This was a sword that was sent to me, $135, and I still think it was very helpful, because it shows what $135 can get you, and especially as I compare it to some of the other stuff that I've gotten. You might see a little katana up there that I'm poking at with my camera. This has reasonably tight ito. The diamonds were okay. The sword was light and nimble. The tsuba bent pretty easily. It had limitations and problems, but for $135, it was really, really good for the money, and arguably, better than the Ryujin one that I talked about earlier, which was $200-something. It had a lot of value in it for not a huge amount of money. So that's helpful. It's helpful to see examples like that. That and the Ronin arcade pieces tend to be very good value for the money. Streamlabs. Yeah, Streamlabs, you have to do. So I do see the Fire Dragon. I've heard of Streamlabs. I've tried using it, but it tends to, I don't know, it's more complicated and nuanced than I want to jump into, especially since I don't stream terribly often. The Twitch version tends to be pretty. The Twitch Studio default thing when I do it there is actually pretty easy to use, and it seems to work okay. And Streamlabs, I think, lets me do it on multiple platforms and a bunch of other stuff, but I have to futz with it more than I want. Manwich. You ever heard of Battle Blades? I've not. I have no idea what those are. I'm assuming blades, given that's kind of the. But I can make some assumptions. I've never heard of battle blades before. You're welcome, Crusader. I decided to stream early in the morning before everyone is too drunk, myself included. Leon, hello. Happy New Year. Yes, live stream. Okay, I'm actually tempted to buy something from Lands Connect Emporium too. I'm looking at, it's what Adam said was his favorite. The the model name escapes me, but it's the short little stubby guy over here. Naturally, I have a myriad of reviews I'm working on all at the same time, but I've been playing with this little guy a little bit more, and I remember Adam said that it was his favorite, and I can see why. It is so fun. I like the Gunther. It was the longer version, or a longer blade, not version. But this stubby, stout little guy has been a lot of fun to move around, and I like the way that Ian did it with this knuckle bit right here, the quasi D guard. I haven't tested it yet, but I want to see how well I can punch stuff in the face. Anyway, Lands Connect Emporium. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I hope you enjoy yours. Do I have a European Viking sword that I liked? Viking swords are absolutely stunning to look at. I really think that they are special pieces visually, but I can't say that I really enjoy moving them around. Generally speaking, my hands just don't. It jams into my wrist, and I know that I can hold it differently. But no matter which way I hold it, it doesn't feel particularly good to swing around. So I can't say that I've had a Viking sword yet that I have held that felt natural and good in my hand in a way that I enjoyed swinging as much as I do almost any other kind of sword that doesn't do that. But that doesn't mean I don't like them. They're still sharp, shiny, cool things, and user error is not an excuse not to like them. So yes, there's plenty of them out there. I had one. I don't have it anymore, but I had a Rob Miller Castle Keep one that I reviewed. It was kinder to my hand given the pommel area, but I don't tend to seek them out the same way. Though there's a gentleman in the sword community that sells a lot of very high-end, very nice-looking Viking swords, and I will say that the visuals are really, really appealing, and it's been hard not to sell a kidney and buy one. Leon, you finally got Apex up and running. All right. Well, I've been lax on streaming. My internet has been somewhat poopy as of late, and so I've missed my last couple streamy days. But I'm hoping to hop on Apex over the weekend. So shoot me. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But happy to jam on some Apex Legends with you. Oh yes, the wall of awesomeness. I'm working through the comments here, so it takes me a minute. The wall is not often featured in videos, but it does definitely illustrate the addiction maybe a little bit more than just the fireplace, where you see kind of a mooncast shadow of my addiction. What's worse is it kind of goes further around the room too. Nope, left-handed messer. Sword friend Ian. So Luciano, I hope I'm saying your name right. That is a left-handed messer. Sword friend Ian lent me several pieces from Lands Connect Emporium, and that's where I've gotten the chance to play with them. He is a left-handed fellow, and so his pieces are left-handed. And so, yes, they are left-handed messers. Ordered the Gottfried with knuckled. Prices are going. Well, that wouldn't surprise me if prices be going up. Chat is more popular here than I expected. Usually, when I stream on Twitch, I get a few bits. This is a different pace. So I've drifted far off topic. I've talked a little bit about one of the videos, but that's okay. Conversation can go either way. Voltage Blue, do I have a day to clean them? I rotate, I suppose, is what the best way to describe it. Anytime I take one down, I clean it. The stuff that's up above has to be cleaned more when it doesn't have any kind of scabbard or covering on it. I use CLP and go over it, but I'll take usually every 3 months, I'll do like one section and pull them all down and clean them up and make sure I'm not missing any parts and stuff like that. That's about it. And then once a year, the spirit moves me and I'll have a cleaning day, but there's nothing exactly scheduled. It's a general like, oh, I haven't done this in a while. But for the most part, I don't handle all of them every day. So when they're sitting in bags or in their scabbards or coated in some oil, they don't do, it doesn't do too much, except for the Albions. Those things are rust magnets. So they require some special attention. And especially since they sit out in the open and not that I'm up there spitting on them or something like that. But anyway, they tend to require some special attention. Where was I? Fire Dragon, have I ever owned tested? You know, I don't know how to say the name. I haven't tested them. In general, there's maybe 5 years ago or so, I was buying things more actively, either for YouTube fodder or for just some personal experience stuff. And now I'm pretty set with the stuff that I have and like and use. And so most of what I tend to get is review samples or things that people lend me. And I'm genuinely happy to test anything anyone's willing to send, but I don't generally seek out. I don't go out and buy as many swords as I did before. 2021 has been the fewest swords that I think I've ever bought. So, which is still probably more than most people, but yes. No, the short answer to your question is I have not. Voltage Blue. Oh, I answered that one. Hard to keep up with chat in my old eyes. Crusader, you have a few walls. Yeah, I had to build my own racks. So the walls are a little deceptive because the side pieces go 2 rungs and then the middle is 3. And I couldn't find something because I have these spaces, as you can see, this kind of weird shelf area in the house that I live in. And I needed something that would accommodate more, but the space doesn't really get used for much else. So building out obviously, I have a problem, and my better half is accommodating to an extent. So there's this room full of swords, and there's another room that's got some swords on the wall as well. And that's basically I needed space that went out rather than further around. Otherwise, every corner of the house would have them. So yes, I'd certainly encourage you to build your own if that is a similar problem, because I have yet to find somebody that could. Well, now that Enzo Workshop sent me some stuff, I'm sure that there are talented woodworkers on like Etsy or something that could make something reasonable for you. But I had to, at the time, go out and do my own. Man, what you bought a Skydro Scallop? I enjoy them. Skydro reached out to me earlier in the summer. It was months ago, and said they sent a review sample, and I haven't heard. heard much sense, but they didn't want me to break it. They just wanted me to swing it around a little bit, maybe cut some tatami with it. So I didn't get a chance to push it to failure, but I should probably send another email and follow up with that. I'm glad you like yours though. Yeah, Luciano, if your wife is complaining that that it's beginning to feel like an armory, my advice is to sell them, and then get some other ones. Anytime I come out ahead, or at least some amount of times, not that I always come out ahead on them, but if I do, if I hand that money to my wife and say buy something nice, it certainly makes the hobby a lot more palatable, and your wins become her wins as well. So maybe share the love a little bit. Hopefully that helps you as much as it did me. Though I probably shouldn't say that because supposedly she's watching upstairs, so now she's going to know the secrets. I missed Leon's question up there. How do I grow a beard that is dope? I don't know, man. It just happened this way for me. I can't remember when I started getting a full beard, but it was pretty early and helpful. And I tend to keep it out in the winter, much to the chagrin of my wife, though it has to come off soon. So this might be the last bit. I made a bit of a gamble with my wife that I would cut my hair and trim my beard which you don't particularly want to do, but she had a task in front of her that was nigh unachievable, and she achieved it. And so now, man of my word, I've got to clean up the locks and go babyface again. So, but it grows back. I didn't say for how long. All right, where am I going here? Java Man looking for a Korean style. I think it's Jingum. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't have a huge amount of suggestions there. It does seem like a lot of the Korean practitioners, you can use a specifically Korean-made sword, and often the dojos seem to know where to get them, and there are Korean sellers that seem to have them. But I also see a lot of katana used, so it's possible that you could go either way, unless you're doing something specific around the mounts. I know martial arts sword had some, and I don't know. Their quality's been. I've seen some examples that I really, really like from the company, and I've seen some stuff that I haven't been exactly a fan of. So, but I do know that they at least have the mounts to do that, and you might consider asking a sword manufacturer if there was a particular setup that you wanted. But depending on what you're cutting, if you're doing like bamboo and stuff, which I know a lot of the dojos do, then getting a wide tatami style cutting blade tends to be very helpful for it. Unfortunately, other than mass, I don't know anyone that specifically makes one that I could give you an idea for. You could also ask Motohara. I know they manufacture stuff in Korea. I think they do, and so it's possible to be able to make you something if you're looking for things on the little higher end scale. $15 to 20 minutes, quite a few people. I'm a Wile E. Coyote. I don't know. I haven't ever streamed on YouTube before, so this is a new one for me. We'll see what happens, but I'm kind of surprised given that it's early morning. People are probably planning on being drunk today, so I wouldn't expect a whole lot of people to be around. But if they are, the more the merrier. Well, maybe not, because I can only keep up with chat for so long, and my camera battery's got a minute on it, so we'll be all right for a little while. Only the beard is more awesome. I appreciate the compliments on my beard. It's getting to the point now though where it's past itchy, which is nice, but it's also not comfortable. It strains soup and stuff gets caught in it. And if you go outside, I get beard sickles and stuff like that. And I'm always, when I'm in videos and stuff like that, I'm doing some things outside, which are coming up. You get the beard snot, which is not great on camera or in front of your family or people that you care about. All right, forgive me if I'm missing questions here. Samurai Bird, hello. Kingfisher, good morning. Keep my secrets, Leon. No, I'm sorry. I don't have any secrets. It just grows that way. Or maybe I'll tell you, prune juice. Drink a lot of prune juice and beer at the same time. Also ice cream and grapes. And if you mix all those together, it's totally not a recipe to shit your pants. It's definitely going to help you grow a beard. All right. I'm a little behind in the chat, but I'm going up to Legion. What's your opinion of Albion? I really think they're fantastic. They are. I think they're pretty well documented on the internet as what they make, and they tend to make it quite well. So I could ramble a lot about Albion, but I really enjoy the products. There's a few of them up there, and swinging them around is really fun. There's been a few Albions that I've held that I haven't necessarily enjoyed, but it's been a while since that's happened. Some of the Cressies I wasn't particularly a fan of, but my son also he doesn't like Albion apparently. But sorry about the baby noise. Anyway, I like them. That's the short answer. They're one of they're at least a company that you can go and be assured that if you buy one from them, the quality of the product is pretty good. So there's some trust in what they put out. Proly. Sorry if I'm saying it wrong. What's your recommendation to buy lefty swordsmanship trainee Hema Aikido? So your Aikido is using Joes and things like that. Most of the wood weapons don't have a right or left, and you're forced to use your right hand, even if you're a lefty in any Aido, at least for the most part. It doesn't matter which handed you are. You still wear your belt you still wear your sword on the same side, at least in the schools that I've seen. For Hema, I don't know. Most fetters and stuff are going to be ambidextrous, but I know Lance Connect Emporium makes less left-handed varieties, at least with where the nagel and stuff is. So I'd imagine if left-handed applies, there's probably left-handed options at most of the places. But the only one I know for sure that does Hema-related stuff has been Lance Connect Emporium with the various nagels and placements and stuff like that. It's pretty easy to order left-handed stuff. Siwong, have you approached a company about testing different Hamon types in there? I haven't. I haven't asked anyone to send me multiple swords with different style Hamons. I like the idea, and I'm sure there is some nuance to the durability difference. I know they say that Choji Hamons. Well, anyway, I don't know that I can test it effectively, but it would be interesting to see somebody be able to do it anyway and see if there's a definitive difference in how they're tested. But that's a very specific and scientific question that I don't know that I have the capability of answering effectively. I mean, there's some things about Hamons that I could probably ramble about, like if they're very, very close to the edge, what happens if the sword is damaged and you kind of lose that? You see some manufacturing happening now with katanas that are sold where the Hamons are very elaborate and nice, but they run pretty close to the edge in some cases, and that doesn't give you a lot of runway, I suppose. Steel prices go up. That's an investment. All right, I got to catch up. Yes, if I shave my beard, I do definitely look younger. I think that's what my wife is itching for. Or this is just itchy and it's like kissing a wool sweater. All the swords you acquired this year, did any of them stand out as particularly exceptional? It's a good question. I didn't acquire many swords this year, in short, but I have gotten to play with a lot of different ones. It's tough to remember what I've even acquired this year. Honestly, I have no idea what I even bought, what I have even acquired this year, but I have gotten to play with a lot of them. And so that kind of ties me back to the original question that I got. So this year, I know the Magnificent Chujin is one that I did a review for. I got it before this year, but I did the kind of review on it this year. And that is a sword that I really, really enjoyed quite a lot. I'm trying to think of what else. I really like that. I haven't tested it to failure or anything. There's the Bob Ignath Wakizashi that the Man in Black finished up that I'm selling on his behalf. That one's, in terms of lookers, I really, really like that one and kind of the story behind it. I got to do a lot of Lands Connect Emporium pieces as well. Those were really fun, and each one of them is fun and impressive in their own way. And yeah, I suppose then, in terms of bashing swords, the Beiser company sent me one made out of S7, and it took a lot of punishment to break, and it was nice. It was nice to have somebody contact me and say, "We'd like you to bash this against the metal rod in your backyard." Like, we accept that challenge, which is nice. I get the sneaking suspicion that some folks don't want to send me stuff because I break them, and if there's a lot of bashing swords against the steel rod doesn't show any product in a particularly favorable light. So I liked it when somebody reached out and said, "We want you to do that." Hopefully that's a reasonable answer. Ooh, I'm far behind in this chat. Beard's giving me +3 Viking stats. Joe, thanks for joining in. Happy New Year. Where's the crying baby? And complete silence on my part because I'm catching up and reading. Leon's still waiting for Doki Doki Part 2. Yeah, that I have to. I don't know when I'm going to be drunk enough to play that game again. The read along is lots of fun. Sorry if I've missed questions. Yes. Well, the streaming on YouTube seems to be going better than the streaming on Twitch. Go figure, right? But I try to separate them a little bit. Streaming, you can see there's a lot of dull pauses and ums. I'm not necessarily a wholly different person, but I'm certainly less articulate and to the point, and that's already a problem in my videos. So happy to stream a little bit, but it's tough when there's not a topic to talk about. Joe does a better job of streaming. Joe from Steel Forge and Fire Sword and Knife. He has some good streaming content. I tend to get lost in my thoughts maybe a little bit too much or ramble more. Then again, maybe you like that. I don't know. My son, see, he's already crying because I'm rambling too much. Shady, is it wrong to sleep with your sword? Well, it depends on which way you mean. There's usually one beside the bed, but with like it could be a painful experience. David, am I right? I'm right-handed. But usually ambidextrous swords or a sword, most of the time, most swords don't matter which dexterity you are, you can use them pretty effectively. Even the left-handed messers, I don't find it particularly challenging, other than obviously there can be a little bit of awkwardness, but the pointy end still goes in the target and you still smash with them pretty good. I don't know what VOT means, but probably something. I know what FYI means. Jacob, I inspired you to purchase katanas. Well, hopefully the video intention is to help you spend your money in a meaningful way so that you're happy with what you get, at least more likely to be. Yeah, I tend to get asked a lot, what's the best thing to buy? And it's a very hard question for a person that has this problem to whittle things down. But more to the point, like I spend a lot of time making videos about a thing so that you can make a decision yourself and be informed about it. I don't really like making decisions for people. So hopefully you are happy with what you got, and hopefully the videos helped you get there. And if they did, then I'm glad I made them. Speaking of swords, have you ever tested anything in 3V? No, I really want to, and so the Beiser company said they make things out of 3V, and generally speaking, at least the conversation that I had with the guy over there noted that 3V is going to have better edge retention, but probably absorb less shock. And so, given my propensity to whack things into steel rods when it comes to destructive testing, the sword that's going to show itself best in the types of tests that I do is S7, or at least that was their estimation. But 3V is supposed to be really, really durable stuff, and so if I get one, it's probably going to be better to do more edge retention style cutty things tests. What that will amount to, I'm not sure. More chops into wood or logs or something like that don't inherently break the sword, but that might showcase retaining like a razor edge for a longer period of time. But no, I would really like to test some 3V stuff. I've held some 3V blades, and I want to have one. I ordered two Cena. They should be here in January, February. Your overall opinion of them much appreciated. I really like the shipping to Europe was expensive. Yeah, I like the customization options from Jayco or Sino Sword. They have a ton of different options, and the products that I've gotten have been on par with Swords of Northshire and many of the other forges that you might see, or kind of, I don't know. There's a lot of different names, I suppose, that come to mind. But customization options is by default where I'd go. They tend to have very cost-effective prices. The only complaint that I'd really have with Jayco is it seems like communication is a bit of a sticking point, and sometimes quality control or getting specifically what you ordered. And often I'm asked the difference between a Jayco or a Swords of Northshire, and the difference doesn't necessarily seem to be in the output of quality of the product. It tends to be in how accurately did you get what was ordered. And Jayco tends to be a little bit on the less expensive side, and I don't think the quality is necessarily different. But the likelihood that you're going to get your order right is is a bit lower. At least it seems to be, based on what I read, and even I gave both companies a pretty oddball request, equally stupid, and Swords of Northshire got it closer and was more communicative about the things they could and couldn't do, and better at setting expectations. That doesn't inherently sound like something as a customer you want to pay for, though, and so that's a conundrum. People are really content to say, like, I ordered this thing and didn't get it, and I'm mad about it, but at the same time, not necessarily willing to pay more for it up front. It's just an expectation. It's an oddity of the purchasing decisions that go into what people buy. But I do like Jayco. I would just say, like, they try to send you photos of the sword that they're sending you beforehand, and it's not that they don't try or that they're completely lax in it. But it does seem like there's more opportunity for misses, and I don't necessarily know why. It's not for lack of effort on their part, but I do like the product. I've had a number of swords, and they've all been pretty good. The first one I got was not particularly sharp, but I do remember I asked them for some really oddball stuff, and they made it, and it was all sorts of fun to test and play with. So yes, I do. I'm a fan, and I should probably ask them for another sample or something. I don't actually have a sword. Usually I have a katana around to practice Iaido with at the moment, and the only one I have that's awaiting breaking is this one with the red handle up there, and you can maybe see by the handle and the shape of it that why I'm not particularly keen on using it. Some spoiler alerts for for when that one comes up. Bot is a spam bot. I did not. Well, that's joy. Communist spam bots. Доброе утро, товарищ. Uh-oh. They got a foothold. Joe's noting that he's waiting 9 months for the Huawei I'm getting concerned. People still seem to be getting their stuff, at least from what I'm reading. But yes, I agree. Huawei is a company that I think even before the pandemic and the supply chain challenges and all that kind of stuff was one that did not have particularly high marks for promptness. And if it makes you feel better, they did say they would send me a review sample, but that was like Chinese New Year last year when that was coming up, and now the next Chinese New Year is around the corner. So I think they're busy just trying to crank out product. But from what I understand, some people are getting their orders. So hopefully you are just on the list and have to wait patiently. But it's a long time. It's a long time. I hope you're happy when you eventually get it. I don't inherently think that they would not be sending it. That said, I would suspect that if you are running into problems, if you don't have it yet, there's a very strong chance that you won't have it before March either, because New Year's around the corner. Chinese New Year, I mean, which is what I'm going to have to deal with when I go back to my day job. There's a lot of stuff. Try and get done before then. Being left-handed, I'm trying to think. Luciano, if you're training left-handed, it depends on what you're trying to train in. Generally speaking, a lot of the techniques can just be reversed, and it's a lot harder for people to. Everyone's used to fighting a right-handed person, so you kind of have an advantage when you go to sparring. But most of the techniques are you just do the inverse, or you don't get to use your left hand. Some systems, particularly Japanese, you're forced to use your right. So that puts you at a bit of a disadvantage, I suppose. But it's interesting how power generation works, because when you're, at least with the katana, kind of flicking with your right and maybe pushing out with your left, so you might have strength from a different place. If I'm going to do this more often, you'd recommend StreamYard? Yeah, happy to do Blade Talk anytime. You know that. I don't know how often I'm going to stream. I don't know how often I'm going to stream on YouTube. I was thinking that this would be more of a ramble and chat about something, but questions have come in, and it's good. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. It seems to be more popular than I expected. So maybe so. If hearing me ramble unscripted is a value, then okie doke. Xeonites, do you have any anime-based sword designs? I don't, that I know of. I've got a few swords from the Conan movie. I had one from Zorro. I don't think I have anything inherently from anime at the moment. Not that I'd be adverse to testing some if somebody sent me them, but I don't know that that's necessarily as applicable. If people buy anime swords and they want them functional, I don't know that they're using them for months for like Iaido and stuff like that. Do people care about the durability of anime-based swords? I mean, it's one thing, I suppose, if you have a sword fit up in quasi-traditional stuff and inspired. I don't know the Demon Slayer comic or anime particularly well, but I see swords in that style, and it just looks like a theme of Japanese sword. So I could totally see using something like that, but I don't like the Roni Kenshin one with the reverse blade. I don't know that I'd want to train with that. I wonder if it'd be easier to break. Got some wheels spinning, but at the moment, no, I don't. Would I recommend buying a Jayco folded katana? Bob, yeah, if you like them, I think they do a decent job at the folding stuff. I had a Sanmai piece. It was pretty. I think they offer some pretty good values if folding's what you're after. I would just do so knowing that it's not making it stronger or better. It's an aesthetic thing that arguably can make things weaker. And in fact, I would say, I don't know if that's necessarily, in a theoretical level, it can make it arguably weaker, but in practice, they tend to be a bit softer and bendier than their homogeneous mono steel counterparts. at least in the experiences I've had and cutting with them. So if you're buying a folded one, at least what I've had from folded swords tend to be not as resilient and durable as their other monosteel counterparts. Miller, you dislike the Paul Chan tactical wakizashi? Yeah, I do dislike. Well, I like it because it's a sword, but that one in particular is an odd one. It has this kind of cult-like following, and they resell for higher prices. I remember when those things were getting liquidated for like $100 from Hanwei directly or something like that, and now they're $500 or $600, and it's one of the few swords from Hanwei that sells for more than it did originally at retail. And at the same time, it's this kind of tactical design that's not particularly functional for anyone. At least it doesn't seem to be. It rattles around in the scabbard. It has, I don't know. It doesn't seem. It seems gimmicky, and the fact that one is the one that claims the high prize is odd to me. But maybe it has some tactical functionality or some awesomeness that I'm just not seeing. But yes, I was not a particular fan of it. It's fine. It's not bad, but like it was also more expensive than the other things that were out there on the market and didn't seem to be any kind of order of magnitude better. But it's been a while since I've had one, so maybe things have changed. Joe makes a good point about Jayco. You have to be very communicative and try not to speak in. It's good advice anytime you're dealing with a language barrier potential. I find myself writing in colloquialisms and if you can be as plain and on the nose without any analogies or something like that, provide photos of what you're talking about with specific arrows pointing to the thing you're trying to recreate, or be very specific in dimensions and measurements and how important they are. You're more likely to have a successful project outcome and getting exactly what you want. What are my recommendations for kitchen knives? The only custom kitchen knife that I've had is from Mike Curley, and I've had a couple of them from him, and I really enjoy the way he makes handles. I find them to be particularly comfortable. My wife tends to prefer the Shun that we use, and that's just because it doesn't rust. And she's brutal on kitchen knives, cuts right on the granite or into glass and stuff like that. So I have to keen them up often enough. I really like the ones from Mike, but they rust pretty quickly, or because we're lazy. I don't know. It seems like if you don't address them right away, then they start rusting, and that's problematic, I guess. So it depends on your style, but I do know that the rust abatement became more of a factor than I expected it to. I will say though that Mike made a kitchen knife. So when my grandmother passed away, there were some tools and bits from the garage, and Mike was able to take those and make them into a knife. And it's on kind of long-term loan to my aunt, because she was also missing her mom quite a bit. But something like that was, I don't know, it's not something that you'd expect, but you can kind of, I don't know, that was very special, I suppose. He took that and turned old tools and things from around my grandma's house into a knife so that we used to make Sunday breakfast, and we can kind of still do, in a different way. She's there. So, having a custom knife made that way, that was one thing that pulled at my heartstrings more than any kind of store-bought knife can. And so I can kind of forgive that it rusts, or, that the handle might be wonky or something like that. It still makes it your favorite. Hunter, will you ever take on an apprentice? I don't think that would work. I film videos at weird sporadic times in my backyard. I don't know that there is an apprentice. And frankly, when it comes to sword swinging, I'm less than the apprentice. I'm the beginner. So I don't, not in any conceivable future time. Always happy to have help when I make videos, but I just have such a problem scheduling them that I don't know that that would be feasible. Yeah, I don't know if Iseo is left-handed or not. Yes, Joe's singing the praises of StreamYard. I might have to check it out if this is something that I continue with. What do I think of Lands Connect Emporium? And are you planning to own one? I'm debating. I have, as you can see, a lot of swords. So adding something that I buy for myself with the intent on keeping uh, is becoming rarer and rarer. But the ones that were lent to me from Sword Friend Ian have make me want to buy some. So I've pondered it. I've pondered it. But yes, is the short answer. And which one I would pick, it seems like the one that I hold in my hand is the one that I want. But I've come to really like them. You have to kind of get. I do. I'll admit that I prefer the Albion aesthetic of machine perfection over the handmaidiness. If I had to choose one over the other, but there is a charm to Lands Connect Emporium that I grows on you. So I'm liking it more and more. I can like two things. If you have 4,000 to kill on a katana, what should you do? It depends on what you want to do. That might be enough to buy a really, a $10,000 one secondhand. Sometimes somebody's willing to dump one. So you can take a look at that. Otherwise, if you want something new, Evolution Blades or Motohara is kind of the default. I think they do great, and your money will buy something very nice. Yeah, and Crusader makes another point. Nihonto is also approachable. You can get a genuine piece there. I don't know if you're going to want to whack at it or not, but I don't know. It depends on what you're after. But you can totally buy a genuine one if that's the case. Yes, I do not have getting some spam bots here. Celebi doesn't seem to be too, but that's irritating. Anathar, yes. Anathar is no more though, so I've got some potential Anathar replacements, but none of them are as Anathari as Anathar is. If I don't remove them, I don't know how to remove them. Report. Well, joy. That's thanks for the heads up, Wiley. Abel, that's something that you have to ask them. I certainly don't work for Jayco and can't comment on how long it'll take. But generally speaking, they follow through with their orders. But not generally speaking, it seems like they follow through with their orders. I don't think they're out there to take your money. At least that'd be my guess. But for time frames, you'd have to ping them. I know it takes a minute though, especially if you're doing custom stuff. There's people that wait for months. Not that that's a good thing or I'm excusing it. They should honor whatever commitment they gave you, but I do know that it can take some time. Anathar breaks under its own power. That's how Anathar is. Anathar. Wolf's Blade Shop in the Philippines. I have not tried that, Xeon. And not that I'm, if anyone is ever keen on putting in a good word for me with the manufacturer and telling them to send me one, happy to test anything. But at the same time, there's a lot of blade shops that I haven't heard about. The Danimal. Hello, hello. Drunken live stream. No, I don't know if I could, Shetty. I don't know if I could do a drunken live stream. That voice is not comfortable to do for long periods of time. that's the short answer. Yeah, that the movie guy voice is not particularly comfortable for long periods of time. It makes my throat very raspy, which is why it helps to have lubrication in the form of alcohol. All right. I forgot what the point of this stream was. It was to review the 2021 stuff. I think I'm mostly caught up on questions now. If I missed one, I'm sorry. But I'm going to try to go back. I'm probably not going to keep this stream going for too long because my better half will have words with me if I do that. But what did I review this year? That was the original point, I think. January. Here we go. I'm looking at my stuff on my screen that I can't share because of the software that I'm using. But whatever, it's fine. You get this right here. January 1st, I reviewed the Ryan Sword, the Double Dragon Sway Dao from LK Chen. I remember that one. Fun to move around, but bits broke off. Those brass pieces, the bronze circle pommels, may have been welded on in a traditional way, but the pieces seemed coarse. And I think LK Chen reached out to me and said that they're working with a different person that does the casting to make it more resilient than it has been in the past. So hopefully that's something that's corrected because it looks really cool. But when they rattle off, conceivably those could rattle off in normal usage rather than the stupid stuff that I do. So glad to hear they're making some changes. Albion Cressy, I talked about that. I don't think I reviewed it. That was one that I did not. I've never really liked that sword. I liked it more with the spiral grip, but I did not like. Of the Albions, I know that's a really popular one and just not one that I tend to favor too much. Oh my, more questions popped up. Nightmare, yes, I will happily beat the shit out of your stuff. More than happy to do this. Wiley, if you're in, my email's there in the about thing. If you show YouTube you're not a robot. Otherwise, I post Facebook and other spots. I'm not particularly active on Instagram, so people usually wait a week or two for me to respond there or more, and I'm sorry. But the Facebook one, I usually am pretty responsive on. Mid-price, tough, short katana. Tough, short. I'm trying to think of short. Short is a tricky one, depending on what you're looking for. There's no, but first impression, first thought doesn't usually work too well on me. It's like a shotgun in there. Good morning, Arthur. It's tough to think of short ones, honestly. I know I have a short one from Mass that's pretty tough. I've seen walkies from Hanwei that have been really, really durable, and the shorter ones tend to hold up better than the longer ones do. But back in my mind, I would say like something made out of 3V or something like that. But it like mid-priced is also tough. There's not a lot of company. I don't test a lot of walkies or short ones, frankly. So it's tough to think of one. I think that all of the durability that I talk about in katanas probably applies pretty equally to walkies, but they're likely to feel more nimble and fun in your hand. No, I made it once. The Ronin Dojo Pro Katana. That's a good one, Danimal. Dojo Pros have been they're mid-priced and they are very durable. I'll certainly give it that. Going back to the topic, things that I reviewed, January 15th, the Ryan Sword, $350. That was that one sticks in my mind, actually. That's I'm thinking about swords that I've reviewed in 2021, shifting back and forth between answering questions and the original topic of the video. That was a lot of sword for the money. And I was pretty loath to break it. I really liked moving it around. I kind of miss it. It was a fun sword to test. It was pretty. It held up well. It had some custom fittings on it. For a thing that was $350, it kind of demonstrated to me how good one could be for that. Now, in the past, I've had swords that were less than that with similar features from Jayco with folded and Sanmai and all of that kind of stuff. But they, that was a custom weird thing in a different exercise to see how close a company could get to a custom order rather than making a nice sword. And in this case, Ryan Sword just sent me a sword, and they knew I liked swirly Mitsudomes, or somebody over there did. So they, they sent me one that I would like, and I really, really did. I thought it was a fantastic sword. And as I compare that back to like, well, for $350, you can get a folded with a nice, well cleaned out bohie and a quasi custom Suba, and reasonable features on the cyan fittings. When I look at other swords now that are $350 and don't kind of one up it's tough to. It certainly puts value, I guess, in a different perspective. I rambled about some other stuff too. All I have is a Facebook contact. I don't put my email there. Wile E. Coyote, the email I thought was in the about section once you do the I'm not a robot thing. Otherwise, if you don't have Facebook, my email should be on YouTube, the one that I respond to it. Otherwise, I'm not sure what to do because I don't want to stick my email in spam city. What's another way? You can do hopefully one of those things. Put a whole bunch of links and stuff there, but I'm not sure how to get the email out of the other end. Yeah, Arthur is Mr. Excalibur. He's mentioning some stuff about loose sword who I haven't tested. I've had one before, but it was many moons ago. I hear that they're kind of in the same running. Wiley, I want to say that my contact info is in the about section of YouTube. I'd have to check. Usually it shows up. People email me from it, I think. So hopefully it shows up for you. If not, hopefully one of the other links has something that you can use. What else did I test? The Heavenly Horse. I still haven't broken that one. That's an awkward one to move around because I don't have a horse. The Fiore, another one I did not particularly like too much. It was fun, but not so much. And FedEx broke it, and I was too lazy to sue them. But yes, FedEx manhandled that package when I sold it. Feilong Higo. I have one of those. That's still on the rack. As I recall, the gentleman that sold it to me is one that said he didn't really want to sell it. So I was kind of waiting around. Maybe I'll wait a little longer. It's not one that I want to keep because it's too small for me, but it's a fine sword. But I wanted to give him a chance to get it back since he didn't really want to sell it. I woke you up by saying go to bed. Sounds good, Wiley. Arthur, you ordered an Albion. My goodness, sir. Your dedication to sword reviewing. For those of you that don't know, Mr. Excalibur, that's Arthur. He's got his own YouTube channel. There's a few fellow YouTubers in here, and I'm really happy to see the sword ramble on the internet community coming in and chatting. And Arthur is not, it's not that you dig on Albion at all, but you've noted that their prices are rather high for a blade that don't come with a scabbard. So once you have one in hand to swing around, I'll be interested. The Warwick is supposed to be, I think, a beefier, stoutier sword of war. So I'm not sure that it'd be one that I would like so much. I do like the Vigil. I've never actually held one of their messers either. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about? I have played with stuff from Zombie Tools. The Zambazashi, the Wakazashi style one. I honestly, I wish I could play with one and test it to the point of failure, but as it is, I would say that they impressed me with being lighter than I expected them to be. Usually those kind of zombie themed pieces, if you're going into it unfamiliar, are bricks and they feel poopy, and the Zombie Tools piece did not feel poopy. It was heavy, but it was reasonable, and it was still zombie themed and durable. So I like Zombie Tools. I think it's neat. What else did I review? Reviewed the Chujen. Going back on my other screen here. Again, totally awesome. Nobody can see what I'm doing. Estini Hunto, I reviewed one of those. It chipped and was goofy. Probably not a great example. I did request, incidentally, a review sample, and they said they don't give them out. So I don't have another one to evaluate. Very bold hamon on it. Some things to really like about the shaping, but it seemed a little brittle. I reviewed the Castle Keep Viking sword. Further noted that my hands just don't seem to fit them. Don't worry, Arthur. The comment section has its own, or the chat section has its own life. There's some sword tubers in here, if you will. I saw Samurai Bird, Joe from Steel Forged and Fire. Arthur's in here. There's a number of folks. Kingfisher's got some choppy chop videos. What was it like to meet Adrian Paul? Fine. Adrian Paul is he's a really good teacher. So like the time that I met him was in the context of a customer, really, and he was nice and he was talkative with the group of people. He's there to kind of wrangle cats, so to speak, people with all skill levels. I really thought he did a good job of taking people with a lot of different experiences in swordsmanship and herding them together, and also dealing with inclement weather and an event that did not go according to plan, but made it feel like it went according to plan. I thought he did a really good job doing all that kind of stuff. And he was a reasonable guy to talk to, but he was also, on a mission. He made a point to be, conversational. Everyone kind of got rained out and was hiding in a hut for a minute, and he was kind of gabbing with folks, but he seemed to be a very approachable, nice guy. Now, apart from his acting, I thought the part that really impressed me was just him as a teacher. I recognize from going to many different events and situations where there's people with a variety of different levels of knowledge around swords, and you're trying to get them to do anything, or managing any group of people. It can be a challenging thing, coupled with not having a lot of help. Not he had some, but it's a lot when people are swinging sticks at each other, and then also getting like rained on and trying to to film things and trying to balance all of this stuff all at once. I can appreciate the challenges that were presented to him and how well he handled them. So that was what stood out in my mind, because I am not so good at herding cats. That's he was a lot better at it than I was, or at least at a level I could certainly appreciate. What else did I review? I'm nearing time where I'm gonna have to end the stream. What did I review that stood out? There's a lot of videos. Geez, I make a lot of crap. Oh, I did the custom Zatoichi thing. That was fun. I still have another piece from Swordbite to review. I did the first one. I took that out and was recording some of the close-up stuff with it the other day. I did interviews. Oh well, I'm pretty much at time, so I'm gonna just skip the whole premise of the video and what I was trying to do, because the conversation I think is more interesting. So I've got maybe 15 more minutes where I can be on stream. I did not expect this to go as well and be as active as it has been. I might give it another try, given that it's worked out. So I will focus on just questions, since I think that is more interesting anyway. If you have them, throw them in there, and I will try to answer them. Arthur, I don't know that you've been a naysayer. I think you have a question, a point about value, and Albion has a lot of people that really sing their praises. I think for good reason, certainly. They come at a price point that is higher than a lot of other mass production pieces, and they stay and claim that on the secondhand market, and they don't come with a scabbard. And they have many of the same things that other companies get criticized for, not being particularly sharp out of the box, or this, that, and the other. But where other companies might get chagrined for it, Albion tends to remain a favorite. And I think those are all valid points, really. So I'm interested to hear your take when you get them, because I will say that they seem to be, they represent what they're trying to make pretty well. If the sword is supposed to be light and nimble, it does that well. There's things that are not perfect about them, certainly, but generally speaking, when I hold one, it seems thought out, which is interesting for a mass production piece. So I'm wondering what your take will be. If you hold it and you feel magic in your hand, or if you're like, yeah, I still don't get why people spend money on these. I'm interested to hear what you throw out. Go back and remove the bots. I think I got one, Wiley. I'm not sure how many of them there are. Oh, I missed one. That's a lot. That's a lot. So it's weird that YouTube would make, yeah, it's a lot to go through. Downside of streaming, if I have to go back and read through chat before stuff happens, meh. But thank you for the heads up all the same. Naginata, that's a sabersmith Naginata, and some time ago I was parting with my last angel sword, and I did a trade and some stuff, and I got a sabersmith katana and a sabersmith Naginata, which I haven't done any reviews on. It's cold out, but I will eventually. It doesn't cut particularly well, and it's Naginata in shape more than in practice. So I don't know how much it actually costs, honestly. It was part of a trade for me, which incidentally, if I talk about things that happened in the new year, Daniel Watson from Angel Sword passed away not too long ago, which is unexpected. And I don't know the circumstances, other than Angel Sword posted that it was unexpected. So I have but one Angel Sword piece, and that is the old unboxing knife right here, which I have rubber bands on. But now this little knife is the only piece of Angel Sword I have left. And I don't know what'll happen, And bear in mind that he's passed away. I know that in the sword community, Angel Sword is is a can of worms at times, but try to be respectful if you wouldn't mind. Yeah, so I wonder what will happen to Angel Sword, given that Daniel Watson was really the force behind it, and they said they're going to keep making swords or stay open, but I don't know if people will appreciate it, given that the kind of the guy that people bought into, or the reason people bought them might have been, was it the Angel Sword, was it Daniel? I guess time will tell, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I appreciate you asking about the Naginata, because that reminds me that I traded my last Angel Sword that I had for a few different pieces, and when I sold it off. Yeah, well, thanks, Wiley. Your list of European blades to get in the future. What's on your list of European swords to get in the future? Usually the list contains what people will send me. That's more or less the list. I do, playing with the Lanes Connect Emporium pieces has gotten them on my shopping list, and so it's been a long time since I've considered buying one. That's one, because I really like a few of their less expensive models. Frankly, the Gunter was one, and then this short stubby one that Adam said he liked a lot. I can kind of see why, but those are fun. Other European swords, I mean, I'm happy to test it. I'm gonna ask Dark Sword Armory. They've sent me a couple different review samples, and I do have the Baron finished, as well as another video that I'll hopefully post in the not too distant future from a Gununting from Quinn Waterfield. But I'd like to test one of Dark Sword Armory's single edge swords, one of the Messer style pieces. Messers are fun, and I want to play with more of them. What else is on the list? I will eventually get around to reviewing some of the Albion pieces behind me, but those are my personal stuff, and I feel very compelled to review things that are sent to me that other people, and that has occupied my time. So my list is really dependent on whatever manufacturers or folks send me out there. But yes, eventually I'll talk about the stuff up there. If you have fellow YouTube guys on, you can click on them. They turn blue as moderators. Seems like you're nominating yourself, Wiley. You are now a moderator, I think. Have at it, muchacho. Samurai Bird, I'll have to check it out. Ryan Sword, it came with a pole and stuff, I'm guessing. I find that that's the weakest part. Naginatas tend to be, even the Hanwei one, it didn't have a tang long enough to really support it, and the shaft was terabad, and it was, when it was remounted, it was significantly better. But at the same time, like, the Naginatas that are on the market are these big grand things that are big and wide, and not all Naginatas historically were like that. But I digress. Yes, I'll have to check it out. There's not a lot of Naginata. I really want to test more of them. I miss practicing with one. My where I used to study Naginata has kind of stopped. I even actually brought my wooden Boken Naginata back from the dojo because I hadn't been there in a year. We were practicing outside for a minute, but when COVID picked back up, it took out a few folks that the head of the group knew, and we kind of stopped for a minute. And that's where we're at now. So I haven't swung one at anyone in a while. All right, Messers. Java man, don't that, no, that's fine. Don't pump anything. No, I don't have one of the clubs. I don't have a. I have seen them swung at things, and I've seen the little rivets pop out. If you're gonna, all right, Joe, streaming, you're a moderator. There we go. I'm appointing moderators left and right. Don't hand those up lightly. Yep, I'm not great at streaming. Who wants to be a moderator? I forgot. Were there other questions? Did I miss stuff? Channel underrated. That's something that I hear often enough. I'm not particularly sad about it, though. I feel like I'm now at a point where I'm having trouble keeping up with commentary as it is, and responding to people. So I'm not. Growth is welcome, but I'm not itching for it either. Plus, I don't know how many people genuinely want to listen to a guy who rambles about swords. I don't really talk about much else, and so obviously that's limiting. You know, I talk about video games on Twitch sometimes, but that's about it. So I'm not terribly surprised. I'm not given the hyper focus on one very nuanced subject. And a 78-inch Naginata is good. They're supposed to be pretty long, so I can't remember how long. 78 inches is still probably on the short side, because you want them to be, you want some reach for those things, depending on what style of Naginata you're going for. But even having one at just 6 feet is still pretty short. It should be. I think the Boken Nagin, or the wooden Naginata that I use for practice, bird is I don't know, at least a foot and a half taller than I am. I'm 6 foot something. So yeah, they should be pretty tall. And if they're not, then it gets weird to do some of the moves. It's not supposed to be the same size as like a bow. They're supposed to be a little longer, and helps you push people away with them. Anyway, I think I'm at time for the stream here. I think I've gotten to most of the questions. I really appreciate it. And so I'm gonna probably not. Anyway, thanks everyone. Where's my camera? There it is. All right. Thanks everyone for tuning into the stream. I'm going to go do some daddy duty stuff. This was a spur of the moment thing, but it seems to have gone pretty well. I really appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate the questions, the interaction. I'm sorry for those of you that might have tuned in to actually hear me talk about the subject that I posted on, but maybe it's better for a 10-year review where I can actually share my screen and talk about each video, because I think there are totally things in my catalog of videos that maybe warrant another look back, that don't present the same value that they once did, or that on reflection are better or worse than I might have originally thought. Anyway, again, much appreciated. I will, let me know, I guess, by however, what is it you like or something like that for the video. Let me know if you want me to do this again, and I will try to. Otherwise, I will definitely be on Joe's Steel Forged in Fire or Blade Talk with Joe. I'm sure I'll be on there again at some point. He's better at all this moderating stuff. Anyway, that's all I got. As always, everyone, cheers. Thanks for watching.